Good to go, guys.
Bill, can you talk the readiness that you guys feel going into conference? Everyone's coming in on a different note, obviously, but you played some really good competition that's probably going to help you, I would think.
Well, I hope so. I don't think anything guarantees much, but we have played a good schedule thus far. We've been fortunate. We've been able to play the vast majority of our schedule, with the exception of the last game, obviously. But I don't want to say that we're positively prepared, because this is certainly happening earlier than it ever has. But we better be prepared, because we're playing, two of the best teams in our league right off the bat. So I guess I guess we can get these two out of the way. That's one positive thing before Christmas.
Hey, Coach, when you see other games canceled, I know you've said all year, expect disruptions, prepare for disruptions, all that. But when you see other games getting canceled, like Baylor, Texas the other day and things like that, I mean, what are your first thoughts? I mean, does it worry you about playing all 18? Is that even a thought right now?
Well, I don't think I ever thought we'd play 18. I think 14 or 15 would be a pretty good number. But it's unfortunate it happens. And then we got the makeup week where maybe somebody can get a game or two that week if we have to. But I just hope we can get as many in as possible. It's not going to be anybody's fault when we don't. And we obviously, everybody will make their own respective decision on what's best over the holidays, which could obviously play a factor coming back, although you hope not. But it's just a crapshoot, and we hope we get lucky and remain as negative as we possibly can. And I know all coaches are hoping for the same thing.
Half the league this year ranked in the top 15. Do you feel like that's an accurate depiction of the strength of the Big 12 right now?
I actually do. I really think our league is fabulous. We've said this multiple times that this may be the best that I've seen the league. Well, I actually really mean it this time. I mean, this may be the best that I've seen our league. I mean, and I meant it the other times at the time, but I don't know that we've ever had 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, whatever it is. And I'll be honest with you, Baylor to me is been the best team so far and the most impressive. But I'm not sure with the other teams there that you couldn't just flip-flop them and anybody be ranked anywhere. And Oklahoma State's obviously off to a great start too. So it's going to be a great league. It's a monster league, and certainly there's other teams in the league that's been very impressive as well. But it's going to be a great league with more uncertainty than ever because of the COVID issues. So I don't think anybody should ever get too comfortable.
Bill, what is a little bit of a time off? What's going to allow you guys to do this week?
Jesse, not much. It was a little bit of time off, and we were able to on Saturday and Sunday a little bit put in, tinker with some stuff, but not really much. I don't think that we're going to really get stuff in that's different than how we've been playing for the most part until after Christmas. We've got enough. Tech plays different than most. They run motion. We're going to try to guard their screens maybe a little differently than with the other teams. And so, there's enough to practice there, and certainly with West Virginia, there's plenty to practice there. So I don't see these as being really times to be that inventive. More so just trying to, play to scout and report for the most part.
Bill, are you still letting them go home for Christmas?
Excuse me?
Are you still letting the guys go home for Christmas?
Gary, we are as of today. I think that's a conversation that could possibly change. I'm not banking on it. We've only got really Mitch and David that are flying distances, so to speak. if I'm not mistaken. Tristan, obviously, but Tristan won't go home. So David has elected to stay here. And so if guys are traveling, they're probably doing it by car, at least the way it is. And we got so many local guys for the first time in forever. So, and being local doesn't make it safer at all. But the way it appears now is that guys will go home if they choose to do so. And we'll bring them back on the 27th.
What do you see when you look at this year's Tech team?
Well, there are a lot of interchangeable parts. They're to me, it's a typical Tech team that we've seen the last few years, and they really defend. They run good motion. Everybody can, pass, shoot, move without the ball, and their pieces are interchangeable enough, kind of like us with our starters, that you can switch just about everything and those sorts of things. So I like their team, and Chris always comes up with something that's a little bit unique that'll give you something to look at or try to surprise you when you play. So I really like their team. I do. They're one of the teams out there, one of the 4 or 5 in our league that they could beat anybody in the country. I do believe that if they're playing well. And now Houston beat them in the second game of the season, something like that. And Houston was fabulous. But Tech is much improved since then.
Bill, Jerry Tipton here. I wondered, with Keontae Johnson going down, collapsing on the court at Florida, I wonder what your reaction to that was, and does it put any different perspective on playing basketball?
I actually, Jerry, I think it does put a different perspective on it. To me, it's hard to say positively. Of course, first and foremost, hearts and prayers go to him and his family, and hope for a speedy recovery. I don't know if we know enough, at least based on the public reports, that we know what it is, what attributed to it as much as what maybe more than I do. I do think if it's attributed to a prior case that he had with COVID, that's got to be analyzed. And certainly to me that I don't know if that puts the brakes on everything, but that certainly we got to start pumping the brakes. So, because there are things out there way more important than trying to get games in to make sure your players can compete and your school can maximize the very small financial numbers that they could benefit from doing these things. Those things aren't near as important. That doesn't even rate on an importance chart. But also we don't really know based on what I've been told yet. So I just hope, like heck, like everybody, that he gets healthy and he's back competing in a short period of time. But based on what I've been told, and David McCormack was his teammate, with AAU ball and stuff. And based on what I've been told and what David has told me, there's still a lot of unknowns about it. And because I think he's spoken with the family, and the reports he has is that they still don't really know. Is that what you've heard too?
Yes, more or less.
Yeah.
Bill, where do you see Mitch's role as we enter Big 12 play?
Kind of like whatever we need him to do, he does. Mitch was really good last game, and he hadn't had as many opportunities because we played small so much in the first 6 games or whatever. But I expect Mitch just to be on call. He's got to be on call. Whatever we need, he's got to get done. And some days I do think it could be 15, 20, 25 minutes in a game. Some days I think it could be, far less, just depending on other teams' personnel and what we think we need. Now, we don't always make the best choices on what we think we need, and hindsight's a little bit clearer. But, Mitch is just a stud. His attitude's a 10, and he's going to be ready whenever he's called.
You said the other night after Omaha, closer to finding an identity, and how you guys want to play and that kind of thing. How far off are you from feeling good about a rotation? Still a ways?
Well, I actually, Matt, feel decent about a road. I mean, there's no doubt who our 5 starters are right now. And there's no doubt who I want to bring, Bryce off the bench probably is the first guard. I mean, there's no doubt about that. The things about our rotation that's a little bit messed up is I think 2 of our best players in February haven't been 2 of our best players thus far. I think Tyon could become that, and I think Tristan can become that. So I'm not locked in on anything. I'd like to see us where everybody plays their best and to kind of see how it breaks down from there. But I think with Tyon, it's just being comfortable and confident and understanding what we're doing. And because you guys have seen enough, when he's just playing and not thinking, he's pretty darn good. But we got him thinking way too much. And Tristan's got another gear that I'm confident that he'll get to. And I'm not saying he's not trying hard, but just another gear from a production standpoint that he can get to that will obviously mean good things for our team. So to answer your question, okay, I'm not very comfortable, but I thought I was until I was actually asked the question. So
does the lack of non-conference, a full non-conference slate, does that hurt those guys and that ability to get there?
I think the lack of games that we had on our schedule that you looked at and said, okay, this would be a game which we may can catch our breath and get a lot of guys minutes. I think that did hurt. But that's the schedule we usually play, though. I mean, it's and there's a lot of teams out there play that schedule, but there's something when I was at Illinois, my 3rd year, we had Darren, and James Augustine as freshmen, and Luther and Roger were sophomores, and I mean, it was a really great team, but we didn't know we were any good, and we scheduled much different that year than we had the prior years when we knew we had turning guys, and we started out and it was amazing. That 10-0 would have been for us was perfect because that team just needed confidence and reps. And that team went on to be pretty darn good. Whereas if that was an experienced group, I would say that was a really bad schedule we played, and we didn't test ourselves. But sometimes confidence and reps are more important than winning hard games. And so I don't know what the right formula is for us. I really don't. I think playing the games we played so far will benefit us. But also we could be looking back in mid-January saying, I wish we'd have got these guys these minutes so we had more confidence to play them now. So I don't really know.
Bill, could you talk about your length at the wing position, also their ability to knock down shots from the perimeter, and what does that allow you to do that maybe in some years you haven't been able to do?
Well, I mean, let's not get too carried away. I do think we can be a pretty good shooting team. Now, we haven't shot it well in multiple games this year. We shot it good against Gonzaga, shot it miserable against Kentucky. Their length obviously had something to do with that. There's been a shot it miserable against North Dakota State, shot it good against Creighton. So there's been some games in which we have shot it well. But let's not get this confused. I mean, this is not Devontae, Malik, Svi, and LeGerald out there firing away. I mean, that was an elite shooting team from beyond the arc. But we do have enough guys that I think that have to be guarded, that can stretch the defense, and guys that can, drive to force help and things like that I do think if we could just tighten some stuff up, I do think we would be much harder to guard. The thing about it is, I still think you limit yourself as far as effectiveness if you don't throw it to the post and have him deliver. And so I still think we need to play inside out. I'm still banking on David, which he has shown signs here of late to being that type of scorer for us. I think that will help us. I also think when you play 5 guards, it allows defenses to switch everything. When you play 4 guards, now sometimes they don't switch, and it gives perimeter guys angles to get their shoulders past people with ball screens. So I think we need that. So just to say that we're just going to play 5 guards because we look to be able to do some things, I think that's fine in spurts, but I'm not sure that's that's your go-to over time, because our perimeter players are going to need some help getting some looks.
Are there any guys you would like to see taking more 3-pointers, or are the right guys taking those shots already?
Well, I actually think that Ochai and Christian and Jalen, need to shoot it whenever they're open. I think Bryce is going to be a really good shooter, and I also think Tyon, even though he's had limited opportunities, should look to shoot more as opposed to looking to score more, if that makes any sense. But I don't think we're far off. I don't know what somebody that does the stats, Jesse, you may know this, but what's the percentage of our shots or threes right now? 35%, 37%? I don't even know. I hadn't looked at it. So
32.
32, that's actually a low number for a team like us. That number probably needs to be 35, 37% in order to maximize our effectiveness offensively.
So how do you get there? How would you go about that based on that?
Well, I think that if you watched us play, which I know all you have, we've been terrible drivers to pass. We've been trying to score in tight rather than look to pitch. I mean, there's some things that we can do within what we do to shoot 3 more threes a game. So I don't think that – I think we can get there. I do think we can get there.
Bill, when do you guys go to Lubbock? Is there any change because of COVID, or is it the same schedule for you?
I think it's the same schedule. I think we may have changed it because of the timing of a meal. We may leave a little later and eat here first, so we don't eat 2 meals there tomorrow. But that's it. I mean, it's the same schedule. We'll leave tomorrow afternoon and come back right after the game.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.